We're talking about workers' compensation premium negotiating tips. And the key to lower costs on a fixed cost program or a guaranteed cost workers' compensation program are the schedule credits that an underwriter will apply to your premium. Schedule credits, a little bit of background. Every insurance company must file with the Department of Insurance what is called a rate filing. And the rate filing might be 60 to 80 pages, and it describes in detail how the insurance company will arrive at rates for any particular client. So in the rate filing, it might say that they can apply credits, plus or minus 10% credits for management experience. It might say plus or minus 10%. Plus or minus 10% is pretty typical for each category. Might be plus or minus 10% for the quality of the safety program that's in place. Might be plus or minus 10% for the underwriter's judgment that the business is lighter for the classification than most businesses are in the class code. And that could be a difference in the services. It could be a difference in the products that are being sold. For example, an underwriter might say that a landscaper is lighter in the classification and deserving of 10% more credit if that landscaper does not do any tree service at all, which is considered more hazardous for the employees, obviously. So there are a number of categories that the underwriters look at in terms of arriving at the final rate. And it's important for the client to have a broker that's really working with them, that's explaining as much as possible all of these areas that might possibly trigger additional credits on the part of the underwriters. A couple of other areas that might apply. There's a lot of these areas. It could be plus or minus 10% for the health insurance program that a client has in place, and the participation of the employees. And again, it's plus or minus 10%, but it doesn't have to be 10%. You're still fighting for the judgment of the underwriter to give you as many of those 10 points of credit as possible. So as we've said many times, the more arguments, and we believe the more arguments in writing on behalf of the client, the better. You just don't know what all the rate filing considerations are going to be for any particular underwriter, so you want to make broad arguments on behalf of the risk, on behalf of the business, to as great an extent as possible. The credits are significant for most insurance companies. The maximum are plus or minus 50%. For some insurance companies, it's not that high. It might be plus or minus 25% or somewhere in between. But the credits can be as much as 50%. We don't always see 50% credits applied in this marketplace. It might be 30 to 40% maximum. But still, you can see it makes a big difference on the final price. And again, we think that if you're working with a good broker, the good broker will convey to you how they're building these arguments and reaching for as many scheduled credits as possible.